Hi, this is Koji again from Celestial Rhythms. Today is the heliocentric Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. That's something which only happens every 13 years, and this is the chart for Greenwich, the heliocentric chart. Now, heliocentric astrology is the energy picture we are inhaling, all the energy we are saturated with, which keeps us alive. That's the energy of the sun, which holds that quantum information, and each photon is delivered and it keeps us alive. So my understanding is heliocentric astrology is extremely important. It shows the purely energetic picture, and then the geocentric alignments, which there are 3 of in that in that Jupiter and Pluto alignment. And the first one was exact geocentrically April the 5th. The second one, when both moved backwards and Jupiter again was faster, taking over. Pluto was at the end of June 30th, and the third one, the final geocentric alignment of the 2, will be November 12, 2020. So throughout the whole year, Jupiter and Pluto are within a really close range. So Jupiter and Pluto are one of the key signatures, one of the main players of this crazy year of 2020. Some astrologers have referred to earlier times when there were so-called pandemics, and with similar signature. That is interesting. However, it's only partly true, as this is not really a pandemic, as we now pretty much have the clear understanding of this has just been hyped up and played that way. So Jupiter and Pluto in general are just speaking of high waves. It is excessive energy. Let me just get here a few more keywords which I wrote down and when I was preparing this. Let me see if I find them right away. Right. So it is excessive energy, the also uncontrolled growth, fast mutations, critical big shifts, huge waves, as I say. That kind of gives you a bit of an idea. So that aspect being most exact today makes this last day of July the energetic peak in many ways of this year. It's that wild, fast and furious energy. Those of you who have watched my latest video on the 3 gorges dam in China, which is just at very critical levels and most likely, sadly to say, going to burst, creating a really terrible situation over there in China. Anyway, I made another video on that, just saying the 3 Gorges Dam project is a strong manifestation of that Jupiter-Pluto energy, as it was started in its construction exactly under that aspect something like 26 years ago, and first time got into full operation about 13 years ago, when the last time these 2 planets were exactly aligned. Here we are looking at the global chart, the one for Greenwich, and what stands out here is, once again, that's why I start with this chart, is the 1 degree Aquarius rising. We have seen a multitude of charts with that axis globally, which is the degree where Jupiter and Saturn will meet at 036 in Aquarius on winter solstice, pretty much being the doorstep into that next big evolutionary cycle of our human society. Jupiter and Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn, together the two largest planets of our solar system, are speaking about the societal developments and changes. So this will be the final moment of a long process of many pieces being put in place. This Jupiter-Pluto conjunction of today is one structural piece in this new construction of the Golden Age. So before we're there, naturally there's a few big hurdles and challenges ahead, and this chart is showing that too. So what in heliocentric astrology is the next big event is when Pluto will square Eris, which will be exactly a month from today, on the last day of August. These are aspects which are affecting us for at least 2 to 3 years. Again, when the heliocentric aspect is most exact, that is kind of the center point of that energy's manifestation. Jupiter is here too, squaring Eris, so that Eris square Pluto and Jupiter, that's all active right now. Now, particularly the Pluto Eris square, in my understanding, is the whole redefinition of power, of the true honorable people who are supposed to hold power versus those who are pretending to be serving humanity. It's that final square. I would say this is the most basic story of the year 2020, and this will go on into the year 2022. That's how long these two will have geocentric alignments. I guess it's 5 or 7 in total. I wanted to start with this chart, and now I'm showing you the geocentric picture of that moment. It's the same moment now as seen from Earth, and now we have the moon here at 4 degrees Capricorn, close to the south node, which in general means it's a rear view mirror energy. We are supposed to still resolve what's haunting us from the past, so to say. Now, what I found very particular about this chart is that the moon is most exactly at the position of the December 26, 2019 solar eclipse, which was the second last of the big eclipses. Was at 407, 409 Capricorn. So this energy tying into that solar eclipse is keeping us at bay. It's reinforcing that energy. Furthermore, what this today's heliocentric Jupiter-Pluto conjunction is reinforcing is the chart of July 4, which is exactly one lunar cycle since when the moon was at 3 degrees 53 Capricorn, also tying into that moment of the December 2019 eclipse. Now this is the chart for that moment when Earth was farthest away from the Sun, and my research has shown me very clearly that this is one of the key moments to predict what's going on our planet for the next 6 months. So this chart would be valid from July 2020 all the way into January 2021. And as I demonstrated in an earlier video, this chart calculated for the 3 gorgeous dam is just incredible. It's actually quite mind-blowing how all these things are totally anchored in time and space, all these events. It really seems the whole history, what we are experiencing, all the events are already put in place. It's just for us to experience them, to make them real. Now this chart, and I want to stay here for a minute, that's the prediction, so to say, for Washington DC for that whole half year. And you see here, this is pretty critical. The black moon and Aries high up in zenith position. And I talked about that before. It's this axis also of 21, Libra 21, Aries. That's where the American nations Chiron is. And here opposite is the American nations Juno. Juno Chiron, that's the bigger picture of what is going on right now in the American society, is the healing of teamwork, of people trusting each other, of coming together as one, overcoming the divisions which are put on us, onto us from those controlling sources. We have to break that spell, break free from being divided artificially, and come together in that fight against evil, which is just about at the place where it's hitting the big fan. And as soon as all these terrible things will come into the collective mind, I'm sure this will be uniting us. This will really remove all the barriers, because then we start really realizing, everyone, that we have been played. And this seems to be really the big theme. I just want to show you here quickly. That's the American nations chart. Here you have Juno 20 degrees Libra and Chiron 20 degrees Aries. Interestingly enough, Chiron is the only planet in the 4th house at all, so it is very critically important. It's the connection to the homeland, to the nation, has been poisoned. The well has been poisoned, and it is about to be cleaned, to be medicated and cleaned, to be healed in a bigger way. So that is kind of the bigger picture we are going into this second half of the year, and we are already in the middle of it, naturally. Now I want to go one step further back here. It just struck me that 2 months ago, 2 lunar cycles ago, that was June 6th, 2020, the moon was just a few degrees away from this 4-degree mark, which we saw just in these other 2 charts. We had the heliocentric Chiron Maki-Maki opposition. Now, why I chose this is because this Chiron Maki-Maki stands out over and again, and it is also naturally involving Chiron, the wounded healer, here at... Now this is the geocentric chart. I should quickly shift it so you can see the heliocentric picture, so it makes sense, because when we look at it from Earth, everything shifts slightly. So this is the geocentric, the heliocentric picture now of Chiron Maki-Maki opposition of June 6. And here you see Chiron at 603 opposing Maki-Maki at 603 Libra. This same opposition is, as I say, in the... Yeah, I didn't pull this chart up, I quickly should. Let me just find it, one sec. This is important because it shows you the importance of this. Right. Okay. Here we go. See, that's the global moment for that half-year period starting July 4, when the Earth was farthest away from the Sun, with Maki-Maki exactly, well, not most exactly, but very, very close to the ascendant, heliocentrically, and Chiron opposing. So this is pretty exact, and the interesting addition here, that T-square of Hygeia is very meaningful too, because that whole reconstruction, remake of our society is centering around health care. Naturally, that's, I guess, pretty obvious where we are in our present time and age. So once we are on the same page about that, understand that this whole so-called virus or whatever is a fluke, that it's a scam, that it's just used as one of these tools to divide us, to make us afraid, to make us afraid of each other even. So it's pretty devious, the whole thing. The more you truly understand what's going on, how information is suppressed. Just someone shared today, it's unbelievable how fast the social media take these links and information down. However, if it's about pedophilia and all that stuff, that is just left there, and these people still can converse and share their information almost as if it's not being seen intentionally. So there's lots of that going on. We talked about that too. It has to do with the whole Neptune, Arrokoth, and Pallas, Jupiter. This is the big one here. That sextile, which hopefully is triggering the awakening, that we start seeing how we have been deceived. So let's just zoom back now here to the... Okay, right. Let's first start at this end. So this is today. This is now the heliocentric Jupiter-Pluto conjunction as seen from Washington, BC. So this chart shows us how this Jupiter-Pluto energy is expressing itself. It's the basic signature, and not surprisingly, there's Nessus here at the IC opposing Orcus. It's one of the big themes, Nessus being abuse and all the chaos, the riots, everything, the dark stuff erupting, very particular here at the 4th house cusp, with Jupiter and Pluto being excessive energy, which is released. Orcus has to do with alchemy and change. So in the best way seen, this is happening right now, as this is also an aspect within the American nation's birth chart. Interesting, I also mentioned that earlier. It is, Nessus has a 122-year cycle, so Nessus has made 2 full circles around the Sun since the American nation's inception, and Orcus is on a 244-year rhythm, so it's back here too at the natal place. Just want to show you this quickly as we are having it here. So here you have Nessus at 9 degrees Pisces and Orcus at 9 degrees Virgo. So this is a very exact opposition, so that's why it is so powerful. And also we have Ceres here involved, and if you look once more, Ceres is here involved too, so it's an exact repetition of that basic theme. Ceres has to do with Earth's energy, also with unconditional love. It has to do with children. It's the basic big story in the Greek myth about Ceres is when Pluto abducted her daughter and she fell into this deep valley of darkness, which, as the myth goes, is why we have winter every year, because that is the time when Ceres is mourning and suffering, going deep within herself to deal with that pain. So there's lots of symbology here too. Not even to mention Huya here, also T-squaring that opposition. Okiroi here close by too. Okiroi always is an amplifier of sorts, making things more in our face, faster to evolve and develop, so in a very similar way as Jupiter and Pluto already. So what further now stands out, and that's where I'm going with this, this is the Washington ascendant of this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. And if you look at the American nations chart, what is in this degree of Scorpio? Maki Maki, together with Bienor. Bienor is a strong man. Maki Maki, again, I didn't really give it much coverage here yet. I should say it's a planet which was found 2005 and which was given the name of this Easter Island creator god of humanity. It's all about new birth of consciousness, a new way of life. It's very audacious, brave, and has a drive for accomplishment. So whatever it touches, it wants to bring it to perfection, and it's a worldly creativity. It is material manifestation change. It's not just an idealistic thought, it's hands-on creation. Now this is in the American nation's 12th house, so it's pretty buried in a way, and so this present Jupiter-Pluto energy is awakening this Maki Maki, together also with the general energy of this half year, as I have demonstrated before. So all is coming together. Now I just want to go back once more now here to this chart of today, and I want to just go back to the heliocentric chart here. Just give me one sec. Okay. Okay. So you see, heliocentrically, even more exact Nessus and Orcus are here exactly lined up. And there is Sedna, another major energy in this chart. We are still feeling Sedna strongly. Sedna has been showing up in many of the charts I have been presenting you, of these key charts, of these key moments, of these nodes in time when things are rebooted, reset. Sedna is definitely resonating with the whole lockdown and the fear which we have been which has been thrown at us, to be afraid of each other, to be afraid of social contacts and such. Sedna is also here close to Algol, which is a fixed star, a very difficult energy at 2626 at this time, because stars move very slowly due to the Earth's precession. They are there for a very long time, 72 years for 1 degree. So Sedna, Algol, here at the 7th house cusp again, so we can't expect that whole script to change fast. This is the energies we are meant to deal with and to get to the bottom of. Now, you see when you have a close look here, so today we have the exact Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. Yesterday, or 2 days ago I should say, there was the exact heliocentric Pallas-Pluto conjunction. When Pallas was exactly lined up with Pluto, Jupiter was still a few minutes of the degree missing on the exact hit, so that took it another 2 days. But just say then the third one, that was when Pallas was aligned with Jupiter. So Pallas is the fastest one. Pallas first aligned with Jupiter, then that was on the 27th. On the 29th we have now Pallas pulling up to Pluto and getting ahead of the trio. And today now we have also Jupiter taking over Pluto, and Pallas is already 18 minutes of arc ahead. I once again want to emphasize that in heliocentric picture the planets always move forward. It's only due to Earth's own motion that we see at times the slow planets move backwards seemingly, which is known as retrograde. So heliocentrically there's only one exact aspect, and this is pretty special, that these three energetic players, Pluto transformation, huge changes, big shifts, also has to do with power, the use of power. Jupiter, the general amplifier of bringing the fast rotation, of change, of movement. Pallas is the asteroid of science and art, intelligence, the ability to see different facts and put them into patterns, understand the structures of information. So this is really a good sign overall. It's part of this big awakening we're in, and if we look at the segment of Capricorn that all is happening in, it's hexagram 61, which is inner truth. I mentioned that many times before too. It's also Saturn and Pluto had their meeting in January, also in this hexagram. So this is a phase of several years. We are in that frequency of pushed to find the truth within, to be forced to look to the core of the matter, the heart of the issue, that we have, for example, lost the ability to rely on any information. We have really to find it out within ourselves, what resonates with the heart, what resonates with truth. And seep through all the layers of information to find the pearls and the things which really make sense. So it is at first making life more difficult, but it's paying out big time. When we do our homework and really go to the bottom of it all, we will be rewarded. We will then know, and it will be not just an added layer of information. It will be coming from a place of clarity, of understanding, and of seeing through the wheels. So this is a process that's still going on, and as I say, the big picture is really the square with Aries here, Aries being the shaker, the energy which reshuffles everything, which throws in the golden apple of discord, as the myth tells us, which caused the Trojan War. So the conflict has first to get fully into the open. The battle has to be fought, and the trust Aries has is that the good side will win, that truth in the end will win. But we have to go through this process of struggle, being shaken through, and that is definitely happening in this second half of 2020, as we're getting ready for the big jump in understanding, which will hopefully soon bring unity. So this is the next chart I quickly want to get into. That's now the midpoint, time-space midpoint of today's heliocentric Jupiter-Pluto alignment with the American nation's birth chart, which brings us to July 18, 1898. What is really jumping to eye is Saturn at the ascendant here, and Aries at the midnight point. Saturn, one can strongly assume this has to do with the crackdown which is happening right now, the crackdown on all the crimes against humanity. It is a reset. It is also a retreat in a way. It shows also that we still are very much meant to keep at the low flame. It is, everything is at low key. It is that cocoon phase we're in. I mentioned that in other contexts too. That whole transition, that everything is dissolving around us, within us, everywhere, and we go through this magic reconfiguration which will lead to a rebirth, and we just have to trust that process. It's on its way. Interesting also that we have an exact Mars-Uranus opposition, which again shows all the craziness, the conflict going on in the last degree of Scorpio, even more so. Scorpio Uranus is also a very spiritual placement. It's pushing us to find the light within darkness, to pierce through that collective multi-layered confusion and shine light and act on it. Furthermore, what's really outstanding here in this chart is that it's just short after a new moon in the midpoint energy. Now the midpoint again is the meeting point between the base energy of the nation and what's going on right now in the heavens. So to say, it's the hinge, how we as a collective are receiving, are standing in between, are grounded between those two grindstones, yes, I guess that's the best way to say it. So I was curious when the new moon was exact, which is less than an hour prior to this moment, and that is the chart of that exact new moon, the midpoint energy. And what about that? Chiron exactly at the ascendant here in Scorpio. Again, talking of a healing process which naturally first goes through the exposition. Before healing can happen, we have to have a proper diagnosis. We have to go through the treatment. Treatment is definitely not something which is usually very palpable, easy. It involves some difficult truths to be assimilated. Venus, midheaven, it's about the children, it's about harmony and balance, healing again. And Okiroi here at the 4th house cusp, another indication that yes, it's quite we are pushed through this process with force. We have to wake up to what's going on. We will be really brought to the point where we have no choice, because it becomes also clear and obvious what's been going on. So it's a harsh awakening, naturally, with scorpionic energies here at the ascendant. So I guess that's it for now here. Let me just see if there's anything else I have not talked about. I mentioned this one. And right, this is just a quick preview. That is by the end of the month of August, when Pluto and Aries will have their exact heliocentric square. And just want to quickly show you this. Again, Venus, Uranus, TX 300. That's quite a rude and a rough energy. So it's again the indication that things will be pretty wild and shaky. Interesting, Juno rising. So it's all about that coming together in a very intimate way as a nation and understanding the depth of what we are going through. And this is the geocentric moment of that chart. And what I found pretty amazing here is that moon exactly at the 4th house cusp. Now here we're talking about global charts. This is the global energy for that moment. I want to keep it at that. It's already a lot of information. Thanks again for joining and listening. I love you all, and see you soon. And give it a like if you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you. Take care.